Hey, Growth Seekers, you're listening to the Limitless Man podcast. Today, we're diving deep into the game of life and how to play it.
Yeah.
A book published way back in 1925.
Wow.
But the ideas are, surprisingly relevant even today.
It is fascinating. You know, even though it's from a different era, it still really resonates with people.
It's like a cheat code for life, almost.
Right.
So what's the first thing we should know about playing this game?
Well, the first thing to really grasp is that life, it's not a battle, it's a game.
Okay.
With spiritual rules, and if you learn how to play by the rules, you can win.
So what are some of these spiritual rules?
One of the most important rules is the principle of giving and receiving.
Okay.
What you put out into the world, your thoughts, your words, actions, it all comes back to you.
So if I'm constantly thinking negative thoughts, I'm attracting more negativity.
Exactly. And that brings us to what Scovel Shinn calls the imaging faculty, which is basically our imagination. What we consistently focus on, we tend to bring into being.
So it's like our imagination is a blueprint.
Yes.
Okay, so speaking of blueprints, how does Scovel Shinn actually define habits?
Well, habits, she says, come from imprints on what she calls the subconscious mind.
Okay.
But to understand that, we really have to understand how she breaks down the mind.
Okay.
She breaks it down into 3 departments: the subconscious, the conscious, and the superconscious.
Okay, let's unpack these 3 departments then.
Sure. So imagine the subconscious mind as power. Raw power, but without any direction. It just carries out whatever is impressed upon it. Good or bad, it doesn't discriminate.
So if I keep feeding my subconscious mind negativity, doubt, those are the habits that will take root.
Precisely. Then we have the conscious mind, that's like the human mind.
Okay.
It's limited by what it sees and experiences in the physical world, so it's easily swayed by appearances.
So my conscious mind can easily get trapped in a cycle of negativity if I'm not careful.
That's right. And that's where the superconscious mind comes in. Think of this like the God mind,
Okay.
This is the source of perfect ideas and where our true destiny resides.
So it's like a higher intelligence that has a blueprint for our highest potential.
Exactly. Now, how does this all relate to habits? Negative habits, they stem from those negative imprints on the subconscious mind.
Okay.
They often come from, limiting beliefs, fears we've kicked up from our environment, past experiences.
So it's like my subconscious mind is running outdated software.
I like that analogy. Positive habits, on the other hand, are formed by consciously feeding the subconscious mind with positive thoughts, beliefs, and affirmations.
So it's about rewriting the code, installing new, empowering beliefs.
You got it. It's about recognizing the power you have to choose what you feed your mind and therefore what you manifest in your life. Scovel Shinn tells the story about a woman who desperately wanted to marry this one specific guy, but she ended up attracting someone completely different.
Hold on, I thought you said we attract what we focus on. What happened there?
Well, the man she ended up with was actually a much better match for her in terms of values, life goals. Scovel Shinn called him her divine selection.
So it's not always about getting exactly what we think we want, but what's truly best for us.
Exactly. And that brings us to this really important question. If we have this power to shape our reality, why do we struggle to form positive habits and achieve our goals?
That is a great question. Why do we struggle so much?
According to Scovel Shinn, it's because most of us are unaware of the power of our own minds.
It's like we've been given this high-tech gadget, but we don't have the instruction manual.
Precisely. And because of this lack of awareness, we often operate from a place of fear. Fear of lack, fear of failure, fear of not being good enough.
I think we've all been there.
Absolutely. But Scovel Shinn has this interesting perspective on fear. She describes it as inverted faith.
Inverted faith.
Yeah, it means instead of having faith in the good, in our own power, in the abundance of the universe, we're putting our faith in the opposite. In lack, in limitation, the things we don't want.
So by focusing on what we fear, we're actually giving it more power.
Yeah, it's ironic, isn't it? And to make matters worse, we're often so hypnotized by these negative beliefs and limitations that we're not even conscious of the power we have. Scovel Shinn refers to this as soul sleep.
It's like we're sleepwalking through life.
Exactly. And all of this ties into the law of karma.
Okay, the idea that what we sow is what we reap.
Exactly. Our thoughts and actions have consequences, not just for ourselves, but for the world around us.
Okay, so we've got this powerful mental operating system, but most of us don't know how to use it. We're stuck in fear-based thinking and reaping the consequences. So what can we do about it? How do we start playing this game of life more effectively?
Well, the good news is Scovel Shinn provides some very practical tips for implementing these principles. She gives us a lot of guidance, but we can start with 5 key daily tips.
Okay, I'm ready. What's the first tip?
The first tip is to start your day with the right words. Make it a habit to say positive affirmations as soon as you wake up.
Why is that so important?
It's about setting the tone for the day. You're consciously choosing to focus your mind on the good.
I like that. So what kind of affirmations are we talking about?
Scovel Shinn recommends things like, "Thy will be done this day," or "Today is a day of completion."
Simple but powerful. Okay, what's the second tip?
The second tip is to practice what Scovel Shinn calls casting your burdens.
Oh, I'm feeling weighed down just thinking about all the things I carry around.
Right, so this is where you actively release those worries, the negative thoughts, to your superconscious mind. It's acknowledging that you don't have to carry the weight of the world.
So how do I actually cast a burden?
Scovel Shinn recommends repeating this phrase. "I cast this burden of fear, lack, resentment, etc. on the Christ within, and I go free."
I cast this burden and I go free.
Eh.
Sounds like a ritual of release.
It is. It's a conscious act of letting go, surrendering your problems, trusting that things will work out.
What's the benefit of doing that?
It clears your vision and allows your superconscious mind, that source of wisdom and power, to work its magic. It's about getting out of your own way and allowing the universe to support you.
This is great. Okay, hit me with tip number 3.
Tip number 3 is to embrace non-resistance.
Wait, doesn't that sound a bit passive? Don't we need to, fight for what we want?
Scovel Shinn argues that resisting negative situations just gives them more power. It's like wrestling with a pig. You both get dirty, but the pig enjoys it.
Okay, I see your point. So what's the alternative to resistance?
It's about baptizing every negative event as success.
Baptizing a negative event as success. That's an interesting way to put it. What does that look like?
It means instead of seeing a setback as a failure, you choose to see it as an opportunity for growth, a stepping stone towards your goals. She suggests saying something like, "Infinite Spirit, I baptize this failure setback challenge as success in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Ghost."
It's like taking back your power by choosing how you respond.
Exactly. And that mental shift, it allows you to stay open to new possibilities instead of getting stuck in negativity and blame.
Okay, that's a powerful reframe. What's tip number 4?
Tip number 4 is to cultivate your intuition.
Ah, intuition. That gut feeling.
Yes. But how do we actually tap into it and learn to trust it?
Yeah.
Scovel Shinn recommends actively asking for guidance
Okay.
from a higher power. You can use phrases like, "Infinite Spirit, reveal to me the way. Let me know if there's anything for me to do."
So it's about asking for guidance and then being open to receiving it, even if it comes in weird ways.
Yes.
Okay.
That brings us to tip number 5, which is to live in the now.
The power of the present moment. I can already feel my stress levels decreasing.
Right. Dwelling on the past, it just attracts more of the same, according to Scovel Shinn. She tells a story about a woman who couldn't afford Christmas gifts because she was so fixated on the lack she had the year before.
Oh, I can relate to that. It's so easy to get caught in those mental loops.
Absolutely. The key is to shift your focus to the present moment and dig your ditches, as Scovel Shinn puts it.
Dig your ditches. What does that mean?
It means taking action in the present to create the future you want.
So it's not just about thinking positive, but aligning your thoughts with action.
You got it. It's about becoming a conscious creator.
This is giving me a lot to think about. I can definitely see how these principles could help me, live a more limitless life. But honestly, there are times when doubt creeps in. What do I do when those negative thoughts, those feelings start to take over?
That's a great question. It's something we can explore in more depth in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay, I can't wait. This has been so fascinating, and I'm eager to learn more about how to overcome that doubt and really master the game of life.
I think you'll be surprised by how much power you have.
Awesome.
It's like doubt pops up right when we're about to break through a test.
Yeah, a test of our commitment. So how do we move through that doubt and really start to embrace playing the game of life with confidence and purpose?
One of the most powerful things Scovel Shinn talks about is this law of non-resistance.
Okay, we touched on non-resistance a little bit before, but I'm ready to dive deeper.
Yeah.
What's the essence of this principle?
The main idea is that resisting actually gives more energy to whatever it is, and it keeps us stuck. See, resistance itself is energy, and that energy feeds the thing we're trying to avoid.
So it's like the more we push against something, the more it pushes back.
Exactly. It's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. The harder you push, the harder it wants to come up.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. But how does this work with real-life challenges? Like, if I'm in a tough situation at work or a conflict with someone, my instinct is to fight back, to control the situation.
Of course, it's natural to resist, especially when we feel uncomfortable or threatened, but Scovel Shinn would say that resistance is what keeps us trapped in that struggle. Think about being caught in a rip current. The more you fight, the more it pulls you under.
So what's the solution? How do we get to non-resistance? How do we stop fighting the current?
It's about surrendering to the flow, trusting that even the difficult things are meant to teach us. Imagine yourself floating on your back in that current. You're still moving, but you're not fighting.
So letting go of control.
Yeah.
Having faith that there's a plan even when we can't see it.
Exactly. And Scovel Shinn, she uses this analogy of water.
Okay.
She says, nothing on earth can resist an absolutely non-resistant person. Water, it's one of the most powerful forces because of its fluidity, it's adaptable, it doesn't fight its way through a rock, it flows around it.
So be more like water. Yield to those challenges instead of forcing our way through.
That's it, the heart of non-resistance. It does take practice, especially when we're so used to fear and control.
Yeah, okay. I'm on board with being more water-like. But how do we actually do that? What are some strategies to cultivate non-resistance?
Scovel Shinn gives us techniques. One is to baptize every negative event as success.
Right. We talked about that before, but I thought that was about positive thinking.
It is. It's about changing your perspective. So instead of being the victim, you choose to see it as an opportunity. Infinite Spirit. I baptize this failure setback challenge as success in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Ghost.
So not denying the negative, but seeing the opportunity within it.
Yeah. Every experience, even the hard ones, has something to teach us.
Okay, that makes sense. Are there other techniques she recommends for cultivating this attitude?
Affirmations, powerful tools for reprogramming your subconscious to embrace the flow.
We talked about affirmations, but how do they help specifically with non-resistance?
They can change your internal dialogue. So try things like, none of these things move me, or I am undisturbed by appearances. I trust in the perfect plan of good.
Wow, I like those. Like consciously choosing to stay calm and centered, even when things feel chaotic.
Yes. And another thing is learning to stand still.
Stand still. That sounds counterintuitive. Don't we have to take action to get to our goals?
Action is important, but it needs to be aligned with the higher guidance, not driven by fear.
So how do I tell the difference between inspired action and the kind that's coming from, like, anxiety?
Discernment. It's about that trust in the universe, the willingness to surrender to a higher plan. You know, there's this story in the Bible about Jehoshaphat and his army. They were going up against a huge force, but instead of rushing into battle, they just stood still and sang praises.
What happened?
Their enemies destroyed themselves.
Wow. A powerful example of non-resistance.
It really is. When we let go of that need to control and just trust, amazing things happen.
This is blowing my mind. It's like a whole different way to look at life. Trust, surrender, allowing, instead of fear, control, resistance.
And this approach leads to a much more peaceful, joyful experience.
Okay, so far we've talked about starting the day with the right words, casting burdens, embracing non-resistance, cultivating intuition, and living in the present. What else did Scovel Shinn say about playing this game of life?
One of the biggest things, and it's often overlooked, is forgiveness.
Forgiveness. That's a tough one, especially when we've been hurt. How does that fit into all of this?
Forgiveness clears our mental and emotional space. It releases the negative energy that holds us back.
So it's not about saying what they did was okay, but freeing ourselves from that anger, that resentment.
Yeah, you got it. And Scovel Shinn connects this to the law of karma.
What goes around comes around.
Right. She even says holding on to resentment is like holding a hot coal. You're the one who gets burned.
Wow, that's a powerful image. So forgiveness is self-care, releasing negativity that's poisoning us.
It is, and it's also understanding that everyone is doing the best they can with the awareness they have.
Having compassion.
Yes. For ourselves and for others, recognizing we're all on this journey.
Okay, I'm getting a much deeper understanding of the game of life now. It's not just material success, but aligning with something bigger, expressing our potential. But this is a lot. It can feel overwhelming. Where do we even start?
Start with awareness. Becoming conscious of your thoughts, your beliefs, your reactions. Notice that inner dialogue, what's going on in your head.
So noticing those negative thoughts and making a conscious choice to shift them.
Exactly, and that's where things like affirmations come in, casting burdens. They help to reprogram that subconscious mind to plant those new seeds.
So consistency, repetition, like any habit.
Yes, and faith.
Faith in what?
Faith in your own mind, faith in the universe, faith that you can create a life beyond your wildest dreams.
Like we're being given the map to a treasure, but we have to follow the clues.
That's a great way to put it. The power is within us to choose our thoughts, our beliefs, and our destiny.
I see it now, the game of life. It's not just about success, it's about aligning with something bigger, expressing ourselves, living a life of purpose.
And that's why it's so timeless, so relevant.
I'm excited to keep exploring these ideas. Where do we go from here?
It's funny, Scovel Shinn really emphasizes this idea of playing the game not with this, serious face on, but with joy, enthusiasm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's not about being all rigid and intense.
Exactly. Think of it as an adventure, right?
Yeah.
Embrace the ups and downs, the unexpected things that happen.
So enjoy the journey, not just the destination. Does that actually make a difference, though?
It totally does. Because when we're feeling happy, our energy vibrates at a higher level, and that attracts more good things.
So it's about cultivating that genuine joy, not just forcing it.
Right. And that joy comes from aligning yourself with your purpose, what Scovel Shinn calls the divine design of your life.
Okay, we touched on divine design a bit before, but how do we actually figure that out? What is our unique purpose? What are we here to do?
Scovel Shinn believes each of us has a special talent, a gift that we're meant to share, something that only we can do. It's like the perfect idea is already out there waiting for us to discover it.
So it's not about inventing our purpose, but uncovering it. Okay, how do we do that?
You start by asking for guidance
Okay.
and being open to leads from the universe.
We talked about leads with intuition, but how do I know if it's related to my divine design? What does that even feel like?
You'll feel this excitement. It might even be a little scary,
Oh, okay.
because stepping into your purpose, that usually means pushing yourself. But there's also this deep knowing that this is your path.
So trust that voice,
Yeah.
even if it's taking you to a place you've never been before, and then just go for it.
Go for it. Take action. Even if you don't have all the answers, a perfect plan. Think about inventors like Robert Fulton. He got the inspiration for the steamboat from watching water boil.
It's amazing how everyday things can spark these huge ideas.
The universe is full of surprises. We just have to be open.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot today. Aligning with our purpose, playing with joy, non-resistance, forgiveness, anything else to make sure we're playing the game well.
One more thing Scovel Shinn is super clear about: using the right words.
Right, we touched on that with affirmations. Is there anything else about our words that we should be mindful of?
Yeah, be careful of the language you use, not just in your self-talk, but with others too.
Okay.
Your words are powerful. They can create.
So positive self-talk and also speaking to others with kindness, respect, avoiding gossip, all that negativity.
Exactly. And avoid talking down about yourself. Remember, what you focus on expands.
No more complaining about problems then.
Think about your words as seeds. If you want to grow abundance and joy, those are the seeds you gotta plant.
I like that. But it's not just words, right? It's actions too.
Absolutely. Scovel Shinn talks about fearless action.
Fearless action. That can be scary, When you're trying something new, there's uncertainty. Any advice on how to be more fearless?
Just realize that fear is often an illusion.
Oh.
It's a barrier. Challenge those thoughts that tell you you can't, or what if you fail?
So pushing through, trusting that I have what it takes to handle whatever happens.
Exactly.
This deep dive into the game of life and how to play it has been incredible. I feel like I have so many new tools now, so many new strategies to create a life that truly feels limitless. I do still have those moments of doubt though. What do I do when those thoughts come in?
Doubt, it's normal. It happens. The key is to not let it stop you. When you have those thoughts, use the tools we talked about, the affirmations, casting burdens. Remind yourself, have faith in the universe.
This has been so eye-opening, so empowering. Growth Seekers, as we wrap up, what's one small step you can take today to play the game of life better? What seed can you plant? A thought, a word, an action, something that will get you close to the life you want. Remember, the universe is with you. It's ready to support you. Thank you for listening to our podcast. Write your comments, questions, and maybe the things you are struggling with. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, and please share it with your family, your friends, or anyone. Be the best version of yourself.